Okay folks, today is the day we're going to get on this horse. And first thing I got to tell you is that if it hadn't been for Joe McFadden in Chillicothe, Ohio, this wouldn't even be going on. He's a really good friend and he set this up. He has the sire to this horse. And the mother to this horse is in California now. So I purposely bred to my friend's stud horse because I started him at 7 years old. And here's that contradiction of terms that I'm sure you'll all pick up on. I started him on foot because he was a stallion. All I had was mares with me for saddle horses. And I think Deb told me it was 2 hours later I was riding him outside. That's how long it took me to start him. Now you got to understand, I'd rope everything. Okay. I knew when I rode him outside that he had the brain that I wanted for my next bridle horse. So that's why we bred to him. Because I've mentioned before, when you get genetics, you got to look at the percentages. Well, this is the Lusitano Andalusian cross. Now in reality, I want you to notice this strap right here today is on there. What it does is solidify this riata to the saddle. Because I pull on the riata if things fall apart. I don't grab the saddle horn. It's too big a diameter. And if you ever curious, talk to Deeth Harney up in Hardin, Montana, and he'll tell you all about the not having that strap on. We got to watch him wave to the crowd with his rope in Dublin, California, in the saddle bronc riding. Other than that, that's pretty much it. So we'll just move right along and get her done. Now I want to walk you through this whole thing with the Colt because it's important. What's our friend's name in New Mexico? Sam? Sam. This is for Sam. He's a young man in New Mexico that's going to be the protege. Now I haven't even met him yet, but I can tell he's a good hand. But because, like the rest of us, he's young and bulletproof. Well, that lasts until you're about 30. And he has the talent and the ability to start colts correctly. And I want him to watch this. And you've watched me do everything I'm doing already. I've already done it. This horse has been through halter, groundwork. And just for the sake of knowing, this horse knows the other shoe is going to fall. They know it. You can tell me why in your emails or whatever, but they know when something's up. The advantage to having a horse a little worried is because they'll hunt you up. And he knows how to hunt me up. And it makes him feel better. It's what he's looking for. Now what I'm doing today, for Sam's sake and my sake and everybody's sake, is my bride is going to make a cameo performance or appearance. And she'll do what we call T-bone, and she'll steady the colt for me while I get on. And then she'll leave the corral when I ask her to, and then I'll walk, trot, and lope both directions is what we're after. And if you can appreciate it, the horse knows something's different. It's that simple. And this whole thing could fall apart, and we got to make that strange noise when you're laying on the ground, but I don't think that way. I've already got him rode. I've rode him for the last year. I just happened to be getting on today. But the point of the day is, I was telling my partner Ryan, is that I've traveled all over the United States and I've started colts. Now when I tell you I start colts, I don't chase a flock of horses around with a flag. It means I literally get on each colt. That's the way I did it in my business when I was starting colts. So I've done hundreds of them. I'd go in the corral at 8 o'clock in the morning, and at noon I was riding them outside typically. I'd say 8 out of 10. Then I'd ride them again in the afternoon after they had a rest, and I'd go out with the group. Okay, that means in one day I'd start a colt. Well, I've been 3 years waiting to start this colt. So if you can, please understand that if I don't rope a horse, I can't do either one. That's why I'm so big on roping. That's the only way this works. Okay, I'll get my lovely assistant in here. Now, why don't I go set in the back there a minute, hon? What I want you to notice is that when I untrack him, my hand is in the same position as when I'm going to be on his back. The nose band is on the cartilage. Now you've all seen the back cinch on him already, but the back cinch is tight. Now the knot. You've all seen everything I'm doing, you've already seen before. I'm just showing you what I'm doing. Now just so you know, there's no macate through my belt. All it is a lead rope. I'm in a round corral. If I get dumped, he'll be right back. If I'm outside in the middle of nowhere, you will see a macate. Right there. I've already been here. Okay, you can let go. Just sit there. Left eye, left eye. I still believe that to start a horse or to make a horse, if you don't breathe well, you're not going to get it done. Period. Now I'm going to get the right eye before I ask to leave. There's the right eye. Okay, Deb, just walk off. Now what it really means is that the horse is afraid to move. I'm going to start to ask him to move. There's a change. He's felt this pressure with the end of a lead rope since he was a colt. Now what's interesting to me is he gets a U in their neck, U this way. And all it means is that a horse is trying to figure out. There's the pressure. Horse started to move. Here's the pressure. He's thinking of moving. There. My job is to explain this to him because, you know, my friend Bev told me that Ray Hunt said that when you get on a colt for the first time, the colt doesn't know what you want, no matter how smart you are or what you got on your agenda, and that really struck home with me. They don't know what I want. So, with the proper guidance, he'll understand what I want. So I want him to move. A lot of colts walk backwards when I get on them. I'm not going to kick harder. I'm just going to keep kicking. He thinks that's his go-to. He's not going to flip over backwards. There, he just loaded up to go forward. And the best thing that can happen to somebody like me is anticlimactic. Now on the outside, it's like watching a turtle dive. For me inside, it's absolutely exhilarating. I showed you the strap I had on my riata, and I'm hanging on to it. The riata. Now I'm going to show you why the other horse is in the corral. Okay, Deb, walk right in front of him. Now I'm going to start asking. That's why the other horse is in the corral. And I've mentioned this before, but if I don't exhale, he's not going to listen. He doesn't understand. Now watch his ears. So once again, he's moved his feet already. Pressure and release. Now remember, if he blows up and bucks me off, I don't care. That isn't on my mind. All I'm thinking about is how good I can get this colt to walk, trot, and lope. There. Doesn't matter how you move, horse, as long as you move. I hope you can appreciate that he's not sure. He's never had this sensation in his life. Ever. Okay, Deb, walk right in front of him again. As she approaches, I'm going to start asking him. Now, if I was stealing a ride and hanging on to had my lead rope real tight on him, I could, in fact, pull him over backwards. If I got upset with what he was doing. There. So that's 3 out of 4 feet moved. Remember I've mentioned that a horse can vote with 1 foot? Well, the left front said no. I breathe, he breathes. This is why I sit like a reiner. Totally just nothing. Now I'll pick up my energy and say we really need to leave. There. Okay, Deb, just start walking around the corral. Stay that far away from the edge. Now, for those of you that start colts, you see where the pony horse is. You don't want to put a pony horse on the fence. You want to stay off the fence. Because if the one you're sitting on decides to stampede and break, he'll run right into the pony horse. This way there's room for him to get by. I'm just adding that pressure. As soon as his skeleton starts to go forward, I quit. There's the right side. Good. Exhale. Now, for what it's worth, not that it does you any good, but I've got a mane lock. This is how these guys get on them horses in Mongolia. They braid this part right here, and that's their handhold. Just in case you go to Mongolia and get on the big outfit. Now we're all right eye. No, you're good. I'm just hanging from the waist down. If I clamp my legs, he would figure out something's wrong. Now that's not me asking him to move, that's him. I did not kick him. Now I'm going to kick him. My legs are quiet.
Very tall.
I'm not stealing a ride. Now I'm going to disengage his hindquarter. He's only done it 5,000 times since he was born. Now turn around and go the other way if you would. First time I've guided him. This is the right eye now, looking to the inside. It's a different scenario for the horse. He felt comfortable on that other side. Well, I don't jump off. I just give him the lead rope and talk to him and let him know he can make it. Now I'm going to shut him down on the right side. Drop the rein, disengage the hindquarter, giving it back. Now there's that old school of hanging on to it and making him turn around. That's a good way to tip a horse over. Now just sit there. Here's the deal. He just breathed. So that means he's listening to me. There, we're on our way. You're fine, let's go. He doesn't want to go past the eye of the other horse. So just go the other way, hon. Okay, Trot. Disengage. Release. Release. I'll let him stop. Okay, now Deb, you can leave. It's a brand new day. Something different. It's time to leave. Pressure, pressure, release, pressure, release. There you go. Pressure, 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 pressure. I think I've mentioned to you this horse has a temper. He hasn't lost his temper yet. He just is trying to figure out what he wants to do. So I'm offering him the best, which is a release, and I'm going to explain to him that he can make it. There. Different deal. Nerves. Different situation. He's trying to figure this out. There. That was good. My legs are quiet. Now in the past, he's tried to go over the top of the panels. My legs are quiet. Not pushing on the bottom of my feet. Freeing up. Now he needs a minute. I'm going to ask him just relax and drop your head. You're fine. That's done with the exhale. Thank you. Now I'll reassure him. You're fine. Now I can feel his heart pounding. I think I've told you all along, it's that 1 minute of stopping is where the real training comes in, not the kicking. It's giving him time to process. Now my legs are moving, but I'm not contacting with the spurs, but maybe one out every 10 times. There you go. Now he's mad. I'm fine. Now that was mad over there, and then it was go. That worked out good, horse. Good change. Thank you so much. Watch that right ear. Now in the quirt world, you'll see me later on when I'm in a bosal, I'll always have a quirt. Because I don't like using the end of my macate. Because a quirt can always hang on your wrist. And you can still have your hand freed up. Now what I'm doing is the horse, since I've known him, I've said, here it comes. Now I can feel him coming up underneath me under the seat. And know when he's about to move. There's a change. You already know what this means. Left front foot. Now this is what I've always said about one foot can vote. There we go. And that's blatantly what it means, is that a horse can vote with 1 foot out of the 4 and say, no, it ain't moving. Every time the right foot, the correct foot that's stuck moves, then I release. Now I get past the gate, I'm going to stop him. I don't want to stop him at the gate. Now I'm going to ask him to stop. We just moved on to the next sentence. Now I need him to lower his skull. Never, you don't negotiate with a terrorist, so I've got to let him sort this out. I'll say, excuse me. Remember me? Never had a bad day in your life. Thank you so much. All right, let's go. You're fine. Let's go. Hindquarter. Good, let's leave. You're fine, don't worry about it. Past the gate, I'll ask him to stop. There's the stop. I'm trying to explain to him this is a family show, so there's no cursing.
There's another horse in the same corral that does that all right.
That's what we needed that way. Left rein. Push on the stirrup 3 times. First ride. Now he'll get the best release I can possibly give him. Now if it was 105 out, then I wouldn't be able to get back on him again. But it's not 105. So he'll get about a 15-minute break, as in me being gone, and we'll let him relax. Now the reason for me leaving is the total release. It's the best thing I can do for him. He gets to do whatever he wants now. I'm going to give him a break, and then I'm going to hobble him and saddling him. I've been saddling him for a couple weeks. Well, when I go back in, he gets hobbled because that's the way it'll be the rest of his life. And incidentally, we tie our horses up all the time, but I break my horses to hobble so that they learn to stand still when you're saddling them. So once again, I want to reiterate that I've started horses in a half a day, hundreds of them. Well, now I've got this colt, and then you just saw what happened. I wanted to tell you about the old Spanish trail is what I've been reading, and there was some really good news and some pretty disturbing news about it. But if you can picture it, the old Spanish trail was a trade route made by pack trains. There was no wagons on it because it wasn't a road, it was just a trail. So when you say the word pack train, mules come up. But if you take Santa Fe, New Mexico, in the 1820s, it was like a spider web. People, the Hudson Bay would come down from St. Louis. The English company would come from Vancouver, BC. People would come up from Mexico City, and then they made a trail to California. So for those of you that know your geography, you can imagine out of Santa Fe was the hub. Everything went every direction. The bad news is when they left Santa Fe, they had to go north. They couldn't go west at first. And they had to go all the way up to Green River. For those of you that know the country, between Green River, Wyoming and Green River, Utah, right at Green River, Utah is where there was a crossing. But you got to know it all started off because of the beaver trade. Then a lot of things happened. The beaver trade quit, and the mountain men who had their rendezvous needed to keep working, so they started getting horses in California and mules and trailing them back to Santa Fe and selling them. And then buyers there would take them to Missouri and sell them to the pioneers coming out. And it's funny to me because some mule or horse made the entire circle and right back up where he started. But it wasn't uncommon for him to take 1,000 head and leave California. And those of you that have gone to Las Vegas, Nevada, you've been up the Cajon Summit. Halfway up that hill, you look off to the right, that's where Cajon Pass was. And it's a natural pass where the horses and mules went through. And it got to be where the mountaineers weren't buying them anymore. They were stealing them. And the easiest places to steal from for Chino, Riverside, and San Bernardino because it was close to the pass, meaning the exit of the valley going towards the desert. Please note where my Colt is. So the Californios got sick of them stealing all their horses, so they started putting people at the pass, and they basically had a brand inspection station. And you had to prove that they in fact were yours. And then they'd get some of their stolen horses back. All right, so thousands of horses were taken from California to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and mules. One of the stories I read was a mare brought $2 and a mule brought $12 because it was a pack trains, get it? So these guys would head back, and then I read the second part of the story was slavery. Slavery was a big deal back then, and what it meant was that the mountain men would buy children off of the Indians. The natives would go to another tribe and steal their children, then sell them for a horse or trade them for a horse, and these little kids would end up in the cities being slaves, and the girls would go to households and be maids. The Mormons put a stop to the slave trade on the books, but it still kept going on until the 1850s. So anyway, when the next time you go to Santa Fe and you're standing in the square, there's a whole bunch of native people with all their jewelry there. Don't take it for granted. Don't take it like it's some cutesy tourist trap. That, my friends, is the life's blood of this nation. And these people are tenacious. Had their children stolen, their land, everything, and they still sit there in that square and sell their goods. So buy them. And if you're in Santa Fe, think that you could go to St. Louis. You could go to Mexico City. And part of the trail went right through Las Vegas, incidentally. So anyway, I'm finding out that the old Spanish Trail was pretty darn neat, the story of it, and it makes a lot of sense for me because the horses genetically were scattered all over the United States. There was a group that took a bunch of horses and they trailed them to Alabama. Okay, so now you've just taken wild horses off the ranchos in California and put them in Alabama. That's how this genetic thing goes, what I'm trying to get at. There's this pure Mustang thing is not true. So once again, I want to thank my partner Joe. And this is what I've been waiting to see right there. That's what I wanted, folks. A bothered horse will not roll. So I've won the world. That's what the horse is telling you right there. If he was standing over against the other panel with his head hanging over and shaking, I will have missed a whole big part of my program. All he's got to do is get over himself now. Now he just told me I'm fine. Until of course, I'm going to saddle him again, but right now he's just fine. So we're going to give him a few more minutes and I'll resaddle him. Thank you. Now the reason I'm doing this second time is because his whole life, when I've taught him something and he got it, I left him alone. Well, now he's old enough and needs to understand how this is going to work. So there'll be more expected of him. And I don't want to turn him out and have him go through a tantrum again. If he does, so be it. But I gotta, to be true to myself, I gotta ride him again. Without another horse in here. And then Every human gets to guess what's he going to do. And of course I want the best, but I've already won, so I'm not emotionally attached. Actually, I'm just going through the paces as a teacher. And people always talk about the word betrayal to me, because I use it a lot, evidently. If I were to pull this cinch up tight enough to get on right now, that's betrayal. If I were to pull this cinch up tight enough to get on, that's betrayal. If I leave that stirrup hanging up there and untrack it and let him swing down and hit him, that's betrayal. It just goes on and on and on. So you can betray a horse big time, as in lose your temper, or be a drunk and get on a horse, or you can betray a horse simply by leaving the stirrup up on the seat of the saddle. And by the way, if you're a drunk and you ride the colts and you thrill the crowd, that's all wonderful, but horses can smell alcohol a really long ways away, and I've seen it my whole career. And when I say the word smell alcohol, the next day when you're sore-headed, it's coming out of you, especially in the summer. They can smell it, and that's why they don't trust you. Now, a while back we did the first saddling, and I don't know, it's been a couple weeks I guess, but I've saddled him probably 30 times since that day, just so you'll know. There's that angle again. And I can't reenact it because I don't really know how, but something I have a hard time with is people that pull a colt's head around 1,000 times and they basically make them turn their head this way. All they're doing is loading up the forehand. And I notice they do it and the horse isn't even moving. So I don't do that because I don't believe in it. I lift the horse. The very first ride I try to lift the horse, and that's what puts him on the hindquarter. This high grade mouse deal ain't working real good.
That's from our friends that live equestrian.
Well, Teddy, thank you for the mic. He forgot to leave us feeding instructions. Now the knot is below the halter knot, above the halter knot, so I can close the nose band and make my borderline hackamore out of it. You notice I took his head so I can get back on the ground and turn him if he fell apart. Now let's just watch the ears and watch the horse. And I'm going to offer him the best. There is no quirt involved. He's wondering. I'm going to reassure him. I just did. Now, whether he chooses to listen or not is irrelevant. The fact is, I'm offering the best deal I can. There's the change. There it goes. Now, please bear in mind that he knows exactly what to do. He already knows what I want. I'm just going to ask for it. That's it. That's what I want. Now, if you would, please, let's go. Thank you so much. You're fine. Don't worry about it. You're fine. Now, this time I'm guiding him for the first time. If he doesn't go the direction I want, I bump him. I want him to go this direction, not turn around. You're fine. I'm guiding the horse now. Now, when I can't do it towards the gate because it's a parlor trick. But when I get over here to this other side, I'm going to ask him to stop by just exhaling and dropping my seat. In about 3 steps. So now I know I've got him. I didn't pull. I didn't have to disengage the hindquarter. I simply dropped my body and exhaled. Now I'm going to pick up the life in my body and ask him to leave. Thank you so much. I know this is the oldest joke in the world, but it always reminds me of this. There was a guy, he fell off a 10-story building, and about the 5th story, some guy looked out the window and he says, "You all right?" He goes, "Yeah, so far so good." And that's what riding colts reminds me of. Now I'm going to disengage the hindquarter, as in disengage it. Thank you so much. And go the other way. Now you notice I didn't pick my quirt up. I didn't want it. It's there, but I didn't want to pick it up. I'm offering the best. Now there's no more stalling out. He's got to keep going the direction I'm asking. This is another phase. Before, I just was anywhere he moved was fine with me. I'm going to stop. Now what you won't see me do is purposely ask him to walk backwards. On a colt, that's the last thing I do. Now if you'll notice, when I got on him, that was his go-to. I don't want to encourage that at all. Now when I do ask him to back up, whenever that's going to be, 3 weeks from now, he's going to go into collection. I've already got the break at the withers. And when I back him up, he's going to bridle up. And by the time I get done a year from now at the Hackamore, he will automatically be in self-carriage. That's why putting collection on a horse and self-carriage is if you have to. If you understand the concept of release, they will find it. Now I can feel his heart rate again, and it's less than half of what it was last time. Now if you're ever curious, it's right next to your calf. That's how you check the heart rate on a horse. Now, once again, you notice I've stopped. No matter what happens, I've told you before, and I'm going to reiterate a lot of things because everybody's been waiting for me to get on the SOB, as the man told me. There's 3 sizes of a human. The first one is you're a little bit bigger than that colt, because you got to be. The second one is when they get it, you've got to be dead even with them, energy-wise. When they get it, as in stopping off your body and breathing, you better be humble. Don't think you're cool, because you're not cool. There's nobody cool. When I used to drink, I thought I was cool. I was Muhammad Ali crossed with Elvis Presley. There's a visual for you. I thought that was cool. So now I get to sit on these beautiful animals and get to do what I like to do. So now I'm about to ask. We've had our Disney moment, so let's go. Thank you. Yes, just keep right on going. You're fine. You're fine. Don't worry about it. Let's go. You're all right. I've been breathing at this Colt ever since the day I met him. Now please understand that that's loud enough for anybody to hear. What happens to your body when you exhale is you let everything go. That's what they're feeling. The auditory side of it is them hearing me do that. I can stop this Colt without making it loud enough for you to hear. Now, in my brain, he's freeing up. I'm going to STOP him over here. That's what I mean. Did I mention humility? Now he's in the point now, instead of being mad, he's wondering what it is I want. Through my body, I'm telling him I don't want anything. I want you to feel good about what you just got done. The ears are going to alternate. There. When they alternate, he in fact has changed his mind. What he's thinking of, I have no idea and don't care. But the fact is, he broke his concentration and relaxed a little bit. There. All he has to do is I get a lope the other direction and I got him. That's it for today. Now I'll ride him tomorrow. As usual, I want to thank you guys for hanging in there. And today, this is what it is. He's fine. It's a lot to ask. A lot happened. I tell you, he's a nice colt. Now, Sam in New Mexico, I really hope this helps you. And understand that there's no two colts the same. There's no two. My way is just one of the 7,000 ways of starting a colt. So always look around, pay attention. And I spent most of my career learning what not to do. I got the fractures and sutures to prove it. So as a young man, I encourage you to stay with this because it's a good way to make a living, cowboying. And every year there's fewer of them, and they always say it's the last cowboy. That's not true. As long as somebody goes to McDonald's, there's going to be cowboys. Period. And I wouldn't trade this life for anything. So thank you guys for hanging in there with me, and now we'll have a whole new chapter of Chinaco the horse instead of Chinaco the colt. It's just a matter of time. Yeah, and there's no hard feelings, you know what I mean? That's what I like about this horse. No hard feelings. And then he'll get to where he's just fine. So, thank you guys. Goodbye.